I would now like to turn the word to James Stevenson, who is the chair of the board of directors of CAFES.
Welcome, everyone. Bienvenue. I am James Stevenson. I have the privilege of serving as chair of CAFES Ottawa, and I would like to call the business portion of our meeting to order. First thing I'm going to do is ask our administrative coordinator, Mitzi McDonald, just to confirm that we have quorum to proceed.
Yes, James, we have quorum.
Excellent. And with that, the next thing I'll do is I just want to begin the meeting by acknowledging that the city of Ottawa, in which CAFES operates, is located on the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. The Algonquin people have inhabited and cared for these lands for millennia, and we take our time to show our gratitude and respect for the contribution of all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples to lands which are connected to our own. With your consent, and we will be operating on a principle of consent first in this meeting. With your consent, I'm honored to serve as chair. And so a word about that consent process. We'll always try to move forward on the basis of consensus. So the preferred way to approve agenda items at a CAFES meeting is to see if there are any objections. If there are none, we simply proceed forward. On that consensus basis, we ask you to use the raise hand function in Zoom to note if you have any questions, concerns, or objections on any matter that's before the meeting. This will bring you to the attention of Mitzi, our very capable administrative coordinator, and then we will be able to hear what you have to say. If there's no hands, then we know we have consent on the motion and we move forward. We also have minutes taken by Magdalene Carson, and we are very happy that you're joining us. You'll find the agenda for the meeting in the chat. I also see that being shown on the screen now in the screen share. I should note that we are recording the meeting to share the presentation and to help in note-taking for the AGM. We ask you to mute yourself for portions where you're not participating, and note that we will use the chat function for comments and questions. When there's a need for you to speak, please raise your hand. Again, you'll come to the attention of myself or our coordinator. I will then identify you and then you can unmute. We want to keep things organized. We've got a lot of people, a lot of them who we know can be opinionated, and we want everybody to have a chance to share, but do so in an orderly fashion. Now a word about membership. Members have a right to vote. As described earlier, we'll try to proceed by consent first. But when matters come to a vote, we will use the polling functions available in Zoom. For those of you present who are not members, we're just going to ask you to abstain from those votes by simply closing the poll. To avoid confusing, that means not choosing the actual abstain option in the poll, but simply closing it without a response. That way we'll have a clear understanding of how many members have chosen to vote for, against, or abstain from a particular poll. In case you don't know if you're a member in good standing, because some people's memberships may be renewing around this time, you can contact Mitzi directly in the chat. She can quickly verify your status. We welcome observers. We hope that those who are present as observer non-members will become members of CAFES. But as mentioned in terms of the polling process, we want to make sure that we're fair and consistent in counting the votes of current members. So the first official order of business that we need to get through is we need to approve the minutes of last year's AGM. Those minutes were circulated with the materials for this meeting. And so I open the floor to ask, are there any proposed amendments or questions with respect to the minutes? All right, I don't see any raised hands. I don't see any. I do see Sarah Bell helpfully sharing the minutes via link in the chat. I'll just take a moment for those who want to click on that link and have a quick look at the minutes to do so. All right, and so I'll ask the question again, are there any proposed amendments or questions? Seeing no raised hands, I will now move to approve those minutes as circulated, and I am seeking a seconder for that motion. I see Jennifer Gautreaux helpfully raising her hand. Thank you, Jennifer. Do we have consent to approve the minutes from last year's AGM? Seeing no hands raised, I thank you very much. The minutes are adopted as presented. I'm now going to take a moment just to introduce our current members of the board. Obviously, you know my name, I'm James, and you're going to be hearing from me throughout the evening, but I want to take a moment really to shine a light on the other members of the board. Jennifer Gautreaux, who you heard from earlier, if you were present for the presentations. She's our vice chair, a very energetic member of CAFES. Jennifer has served as executive backup for Angela. She's been a key instigator of several successful events in 2024, including the Kinburn Grid Workshop and the Canada Best Lunch and Learn. Pamela O'Donnell is our secretary. She's been keeping us on track, including record keeping for our audit. Pamela has also assisted Angela with grant writing this year. Guy Dubuc is our esteemed and hardworking treasurer. It's a very operational, hands-on role. We're very grateful for the work that Guy has contributed to the smooth and responsible functioning of CAFES. Guy has recently moved to Almont, and for 2025, he's stepping off the board, but will remain an officer of the corporation and is hoping to succeed in handing off the treasurer role and training up a new treasurer so that we have a smooth transition, which of course is a great help to us. As mentioned, it's a heavy role. Magdalene Carson is the chair of the board renewal committee. It's a very important role that Magdalene has discharged admirably. I hope that you will certainly agree when we introduce the incoming new board members that the board renewal committee, as chaired by Magdalene Carson, has outdone itself. Magdalene has also provided the graphic design work that brings our posters, presentations, and online communications to life. Things simply would not be as lively without her. Sarah Washburn is the chair of our fundraising committee. She
Hello.
is super organized and there's Sarah saying hello. Thank you, Sarah. Sarah is super organized. She's had a highly honed sense of organization for us, which has always been very helpful, quite frankly, in our meetings. And Sarah has been helping the staff team with operations as well. Akil Mesawala is a long-standing member of the board, brings a green economy perspective as a green economy entrepreneur, as well as strategic insights and expertise in social enterprise. Emma Bider has brought us years of experience in the green NGO space. She acquired a PhD during her term as a board member. We're sorry to see her leave the board of CAFES, but we know that she's still active in the green NGO space. Ariella Ritter-Gubay has been supporting CAFES with seeking sponsorships and connecting us to sustainable enterprises. Mike Fletcher joined the board in the fall of 2024. He brings enormous knowledge of both the strategy and practice of energy transition. He's already made significant contributions in helping CAFES navigate evolving technologies in the energy sector, particularly on the regulations side, where he's able to get into the weeds in a way that most of us are not. And of course, you all know Angela Keller-Herzog, our executive director. Likely needs no introduction for most of you. Angela works exceptionally hard. Quite frankly, most of us don't really know how she does it. But she's an exceptional leader. We're all very proud and happy to rub shoulders with her, to get to be exposed to her boundless energy. And it's been a real privilege, Angela. Thank you. I also want to introduce our staff, who are, of course, an integral part of CAFES. You've already heard very, very briefly from Mitzi McDonald, who I'd ask to speak up again.
Hello. Had to find unmute.
Mitzi is our administrative and membership coordinator. She's been holding the ship together, and many of you will likely have been in touch with Mitzi over the course of the year, especially recently during the membership renewal period. That's a really heavy lift, and quite frankly, it's a very important task, and we're very lucky to have Mitzi on that. Erica Shardlow, and I'll ask Erica just to say a quick hello.
Hello.
Erica is our trees and green space coordinator. She's been doing fantastic and leading work for the whole community. And Sarah Bell
Hi, everyone.
is our climate and communications coordinator. Tomorrow, Sarah will complete her 3-month eco internship with CAFES. It's not an exaggeration to say she's been performing way above the level of an intern, and she's going to leave a lasting mark on the communications framework for CAFES. We wish you the very best, Sarah. Thank you. All right, next, moving forward in the business at hand, I want to call on Angela to present the annual report for 2024 and to provide us a few words about the outlook for the year ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, James. And I should say that the number of participants that are here for the business meeting is way more than the 25 or 27 that we need for quorum. So I think that this is a real validation that the CAFES network has been getting stronger, and that we have been doing important work, and many of you have been part of that. And we have a variety of working groups. We've run quite a few caucuses, the climate caucus, the Trees and Green Space caucus. We had a few meetings of the Waste and Circular Economy caucus in 2024, and I'm hoping that that caucus will also heat up, so to speak, as we get more informed about, I guess, not just the dangers of incineration, but also exploring positive solutions going forward. I'm just going to start sharing my screen. And I do have a brief PowerPoint presentation that walks us through the impact report for 2024. And I would ask Sarah Bell to please put the link for the actual report in the chat, so you guys can all have a look at that. So, okay, now how do I get this to advance? There we go. Okay, so CAFES at a glance. Those of you who are not members but who are here as guests, we were actually founded in 2010, but then we incorporated as a not-for-profit corporation in 2021. So then over the COVID years, we really matured and have learned to do so much business over Zoom. And now we're doing this fabulous AGM. It's our mission to advocate for environmental sustainability and climate action. We are based and focused, based here in Ottawa, and focused really on the municipal area geographically, and often also focused on advocating and being really a watchdog organization for the municipality and the city council. And so we follow a lot that closely, and then we let our members in the community associations, in the community, through our mailings, our newsletter, we share that information back. We try to have collaborative conversations with the city, but it's a little bit of a knife edge, because on one hand, we are always urging them to do better or differently. And then on the other hand, we also help the city engage with the public. So there's a balance to be struck there. We are a growing network. Our vision is for a healthy, inclusive, sustainable neighborhoods in all of Ottawa. And our focus and thematic areas are trees and green space, climate action, and waste and circular economy. So looking back then at 2024, I think we had some very serious advocacy wins, and this impact report that we've prepared, we really did do a couple of revisions trying to drill down what difference did we make? Are we just wasting our time, or does our work make a difference? And like, all of us need to really have the honest answers to that question. So we know that we have influenced the draft zoning bylaw on urban tree issues. And for sure, the developer and builder community is watching extremely closely what is happening with the creation of a new comprehensive zoning bylaw for Ottawa. And there's really nobody else that's going into all this like urban planning minutiae and looking at it with the lens of what does that mean for trees and green space. So what kind of soil volumes can there be guaranteed for a tree to thrive? What kind of setbacks? What kind of soft landscaping? We also, in 2024, started a very deep dive into the zoning and permitting for battery energy storage systems, which in our view is very much part of the energy transition. And we don't want to just talk about climate action as this abstract thing, but we want to, for the Ottawa region, to start having the energy transition take place in front of our eyes. And we are also aware that as we can expect more and more impact from extreme weather, we are at the end of a very long wire that goes to the nuclear energy plants where most of the province's energy is produced. But if those wires go down, for energy resilience, we need local energy. And that includes battery energy storage systems. We also, actually, I don't want to read all the files, but all the text on the slides, but we also have been trying to balance our work in terms of the mitigation aspects of climate as well as the resilience and adaptation. So we actually worked quite closely with the city in terms of strengthening the residential protective plumbing bylaw and flood prevention program. And that was a really good demonstration of how we can work collaboratively with the city and then engage the public with then an outcome, a result of a stronger bylaw and a better program. We also contributed to stronger idling bylaw amendments in 2024. And we also championed climate metrics and accountability. So that last bullet is a bit more cautious. I think that we definitely have more championing to do before we would be satisfied. We ran quite a lot of high impact projects that were a lot of fun. There was a whole working group that was working with Erica on the trees and zoning position paper. So really scooping a lot of knowledge out of the community. The best advocacy work had workshops and zoning recommendations and consultations. We did work in the green infrastructure area, trying to push the city to combine the use of space for trees and stormwater management. And there was a pilot installation quite close to my house. So that was really wonderful. We also we launched our first big petition in 2024, which was on renewable energy. We have a volunteer team that is working on climate misinformation, which, as I'm pretty sure most of you are aware, is a very serious and systematic and well-funded problem that we have. So on the CAFES website, you can find a lot of very clear briefs with a lot of evidence and a lot of research. So if you're ever in a debate, in an argument about climate misinformation and your mental bells are ringing, maybe you can visit the website and see if there's a briefing on that particular topic. We had a lot of community events, and actually there were more successful and fun and engaging events than we had space in the big impact report and in this slide presentation. We're working with just to give some highlights, we're working with CKCU, which is the Carleton University radio station, where we have a regular climate segment. We've done tree planting. We did our annual pollinator fundraiser again at the Glebe Garage Sale, which we're hoping to do again this year in May. And we've ordered the plants to be grown for this purpose. We had 2 partnerships with Carleton University. We engaged at Capital Pride, at Westside Pride. We contributed to the organization of the Fridays for Future Climate March, and also part of the Seniors for Climate Action Now Day. So lots and lots of engagement and activity, including also making a very conscious and strategic reach into the rural areas, because the city of Ottawa really is geographically very, very large. Many things look different from a rural perspective, and we definitely want the rural voices to also be part of the CAFES network. And we want the rural members to also inform us on what are the risks, what are the opportunities for environmental safeguarding and environmental action in the rural areas. So that has also been interesting and fun, and we've had some good responses. The picture there, we were at the Carp Fair for 3.5 days. When I signed up for this, I had no idea it was such a huge event. So we have, over 2024, we've been strengthening capacity and our strategic collaborations. Also in Ottawa, we've been strengthening our staff, our communications externally facing through our bulletin, which is called the CAFES EcoLink. I think that kind of went up a couple of levels in terms of how complete and how professional it is. We have been a very active and leading member in the People's Official Plan Coalition, where we work with other NGOs and civil society in Ottawa, because as Liz in her presentation pointed out, we have to collaborate and we have to present a broad front. I've already mentioned that we take a collaborative approach to working with the City of Ottawa, the staff, and we also managed to land a land use agreement with the National Capital Commission. That was also a big win for 2024. So we have many, many contributors, partners, donors that have helped us with these many activities, projects, this advocacy work. Not least are some individual donors who have helped us get to this level of operational capacity. As executive director, it is my job to make sure that the payroll is met, and that is a big headache because those dollars add up. So I want to give a special shout out to those of you who did make those individual donations. So I'm going to stop there. There will be a part of the agenda later where there will be questions and answers. But for now, I would ask Sarah to put the link for a Slido link in the chat. And if all of you guys want to click in there, you will have the opportunity to give us one word of feedback in terms of what you think of CAFES performance in 2024. And then we're going to make a word cloud to see how that comes together. Aha, we have raised awareness. So if you click on that link, then you get a chance to put in hopefully one word. I don't know if it'll let you put in more words. All right, outstanding. Accountability, yes, I like that one. Community, for sure. Thank you for the inspiring. Oh, thank you for amazing. So the words get bigger if more than one person says the same word. All right, wow. Engagement, yes, we work to engage with all of you. Thank you for your engagement. We're still trying to figure out how to be the best ever network, but it's fun being a network. It gives us license to do all kinds of collaborative exercises, discussions, events. And a former eco intern said, oh, with the name of CAFES, you should always be making the coffee. So We definitely have a couple of coffee makers where we try to keep things caffeinated. Look at that, engagement, community, inspiring. This is awesome. Okay. So, Sarah, what do you think? Are they still coming in? 4 participants typing.
We still have a couple participants, and we'll give it one more minute and then close out our poll. This is amazing. I see a lot of inspiring engagement, community, impactful. Awesome.
All right. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to, has my screen share been stopped? I think so, right?
Yes, I stopped it.
Okay, good. Excellent. Good job. Okay, so I see that we're like 3 minutes over time. So I'm just going to say a few more words in terms of what does the forward look like, the year ahead of us, right? Because that really is the expectation that you should have as members coming to the AGM. So the context that we have right now is there is a lot going on. Having the president of the United States like attacking Canada is something that we could not have imagined last December. I think that we are looking at economic and structural adjustment and instability. This is pretty much the case when that kind of an economic attack is being launched. And there will be those that will try to opportunistically profit. In the same way that in any war you have like war profiteers. And I remember, for example, when the COVID pandemic struck, it seemed like a week for the plastics lobby to get together and start having all this messaging that to stay safe from the pandemic, you had to wrap everything in plastic. You couldn't go to the grocery store and use reusable bags anymore. So the industry associations and large sectors have the capacity to very quickly come up with opportunistic media campaigns and opportunistic lobbying. So the kinds of things that the Canada's major fossil companies and the pipeline companies, they're standing together, and what they're asking is also stuff that would have been unbelievable in terms of like building pipelines from coast to coast for the national security interest. This goes far beyond like a few $billions in subsidy. So we have moved into pretty dramatic territory. And then at the same time, many of you would immediately say, yeah, and Angela, the climate instability is continuing at an accelerating pace. And if you look at those temperature graphs, like they were spiking for 2023 and 2024. And I know that we have some climate scientists in this meeting that would attest to that. At the same time, there is this what's called the impact perceptions gap, where most people are thinking that, well, it hasn't really affected me, like I'm still safe, maybe the future generation, maybe people in sub-Saharan Africa. But that's not actually true. We have been affected. A lot of our supply chains, our food, our insurance prices, the anxiety, the mental health of the next generation, mental health of grandparents worrying about future generations as well. Some of you guys are in the room as well. I know I've had conversations with you. So how do we go forward then? And I think that I've got a 3-step program for you, Angela's 3-step program. So first of all, step 1, we know that action is the antidote to despair. We tend to be happier. We have better happy hormones going when we are active, and that can mean going out to the climate strike, helping CAFES do research, getting together in your community association and starting an environment committee and doing some activities jointly. Step 2, in 2024, I started to get a lot of requests for people to tell them about hope. And that's why we had a number of events that were centered on hope, hope in action. And the question was, well, how do you keep up hope when the future seems to be so dire? And what it really ended up boiling down to, thinking about it, is that hope is actually a choice. And that the way we practice our lives, the way we live, is that we decide to pursue things in a hopeful manner, and that we choose this. It's not just something that comes from the outside. And then I think that things are, as I was saying at the beginning, things are so menacing, threatening, right? Things are like, we are going to be seeing real change. So how do we stick to the priority of working on climate when we see that all these other agendas are displacing that? And I think that step 3 is that we need to be more purposeful than ever. So not just have hope, but be filled with purpose. And remember, what are the big priorities facing us? So I think that are the vision of CAFES for a healthy, inclusive, and sustainable neighborhoods and city that is resilient in terms of energy resiliency, economic resiliency, and climate resiliency. We're going to purposefully continue pursuing that. And there's a really, really important place for us, for the CAFES network, for all of you together with us. So I see the coming year as very, very challenging and very, very purposeful. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. I think we can all agree 2024 was an excellent and impactful year for CAFES. I think we can all agree that 2025 promises to be a challenging year, but that we will face it together. Next, ou prochaine, je voudrais donner la parole à Guy Dubuc, notre trésorier. I want to hand over now to Guy Dubuc. He's our treasurer. He's going to take us through our financial statements. Guy, are you there?
I am here. Now I'm told that Sarah is going to bring up the financials. So I'm going to very patiently wait for Sarah to do that. There we go. Okay, what I'm going to want you to do, Sarah, we're going to skip ahead 3 pages and we're going to do this backwards. So go down.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, we're going to go down to the income statement. So go to the next one. Okay, we'll start here. So if you actually look at the income statement for fiscal 24, so basically, if you look at the 3 top lines, so grants are monies we get basically for more general activities and programs. And I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. Donations, Angela had alluded to, are individuals who are shooting us money during the course of the year. Program revenue is tied to very specific, discrete activities. So what I want to explain, just to be clear here, if you compare 2023 to 2024, if some of you will recall, in 2023, we ran a large program for the City of Ottawa, the Climate Resiliency Workshops. So the very significant program revenue in 2023 was associated with the Climate Resiliency Workshops. We did not have that kind of engagement from the city in 2024. We did do, which Angela had mentioned, the our PPP program, the Resilient Protected Plumbing thing, was one of the programs we ran. The pollinator plant sales accounted for about $5,000 out of the 9,000. So, you know, we did some of that, but clearly there was a big step down from 2023. However, Angela basically stepped up her personal fundraising activities, and we had a significant increase in personal donations. So you'll actually see the $28,800 that we had come in during the year. That very largely made up for the shortfall we had in the city funding. If you look at grant revenue, we went up a little bit relative to 2023, holding about the same level with people that we engage with on a continual basis. I'll talk about in a couple of minutes. Membership revenue was stable. So overall, our revenues, despite that significant loss in city funding, program related, we basically pretty much met our revenue numbers, again, matched our revenue numbers in 2024. And we were careful about the spending during the year. So you will see that we did mind our P's and Q's. And so the net effect was overall in 2024 that our net revenue was actually 9,700, so up a little bit from fiscal 23. So, and again, significant compliments to Angela for her fundraising prowess. Sarah, can you back up previous slide? Okay, so the next thing you would typically want to see is the balance sheet. Now, one of the things which again, Angela alluded to, Angela, we have admin staff and our 2 fine interns. It's really important to help CAFES's activities that we maintain our core support. So one of the things that this board has been very, very careful about is we have been hoarding our cash and building our cash balance, because typically at a board level, what we do is we say, hey, we want to make sure that we've got money in the bank so that we can assure our employees that we have funding for them looking out, typically more than a half a year, so that, they're not going to be nervous and always looking over their shoulders. So one of the key things that happened in terms of an overall set of or guidance from the board was basically we did increase in the cash holdings to make sure that we would hold our staff. Apart from that, we were pretty good at collecting our receivables, which is why receivables and prepaid expenses are relatively small. If you look down under liabilities, half of the liability is actually the amount that we I'm going to talk in a minute about the review engagement. We basically have to, the money that is going to be used to pay for the review engagement has to be booked in the year that they're doing the review for. So more than half of the account payable was actually for the review provisioning for the review engagement. The other thing about deferred grants, again, the number's about the same as the previous year. The donations that we receive, the grants that we receive for ongoing programs typically span, a period of time, typically a year. So what ends up happening is if we receive a grant in the middle of the year, then half of the money we received is really having to be held in reserve for our activities in the subsequent year. So when you see something like, deferred grants of $21,000, that's again because we had monies coming in August and September, which extend out into the activities covering the first half of 2025. So those numbers have been pretty solid, comparable to 2023. So overall, when you look at that bottom number, so our retained earnings have gone up. So over the life of the organization, including last year's profits, our retained earnings are 19,463. So Sarah, can you back up to the opening letter? So, okay, stop there. That's good. So basically, what we've done, this is the second year. Numeris is an accounting firm that specializes in public accounting for nonprofits. So they come and they look at our books. Okay, so I just want to draw your attention to the last paragraph. So the key statement, okay, is that, in their opinion, the financial statements do fairly represent, our financial position and so on and so forth. And again, they look through our books. You'll notice a little bit about, whoops, sorry, can you back up one more page? My bad. Oops, come down again. I think this is the, okay. Interesting. I think this is the wrong version. In any event, what we'll do is we're going to put a link to there's a different cover letter that's been updated. Okay. The main point again is the conclusion. In the official version that we'll also provide a link to, there's a little note that says the results or the conclusions by the review committee is that it's a qualified result. And all that means is that we strictly, there is something called, basically the accounting standards for nonprofit organizations technically requires that all the financial transactions associated with related parties be disclosed explicitly. Our executive director is a contract employee, and she bills us consulting fees. Those fees were reviewed by the accounting firm. They are frankly a hell of a bargain, but they are not explicitly disclosed in our financial statements. They are embedded in our programming fees. So the overall result is they are happy with the way we've been running the business. They are happy with the financials. They are happy with our books. And that's pretty much all I have to say. If you guys have any questions, you can shoot them into the chat or we can revisit them later. Is that back to James?
I think that can take us on to the financial related motions, seeing that there are no questions specifically about the documents Guy has just reviewed. If I can get a screen share to put those motions up.
Yep, I'll share that right now.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, so you will see on your screen, we have 3 financial motions we need to get through. The first is really quite straightforward. Be it resolved that the members acknowledge receipt of the CAFES financial statements for 2024. Essentially, those, as Guy has just done, those statements have been presented to the membership. And so I am going to move that motion that it is resolved that the members acknowledge receipt of the CAFES financial statements for 2024. If I could please get a seconder.
Over here, Magdalene. Oh, sorry.
I see Magdalene and I see Della. So I think for the purposes of the minutes, I think I saw Della Wilkinson's hand first. Thank you very much, Della. A moment for people to raise hands if there are any objections. Seeing none, I take it that that is passed by consent. Thank you. Our next motion is be it resolved that the members appoint Numeris CPA to be the public accountant for CAFES for the 2025 fiscal period with remuneration to be fixed by CAFES. As Guy alluded to, we are obligated to have these review engagements on an annual basis. And so we are seeking to once again make use of the services of Numeris. Does anyone have any questions or concerns in that regard? Seeing none, I will move that motion and again seek a seconder. And I see Magdalene raising a hand. Thank you, Magdalene. Magdalene Carson. All right, and the motion having been moved, are there any opposed? All right, seeing no hands raised, that one is passed as well. Thank you. And the final is a special resolution. It requires, as all resolutions, consent, or failing that, a 2/3 approval of the votes cast. It's be it resolved that the members approve CAFE's public accountant conducting a review engagement of the CAFE's financial statements for the 2025 fiscal period. And essentially, this is a cost-saving measure for CAFEs rather than conducting a full audit. There is a essentially more expedient procedure, the review engagement. I can say it is what we have done the past few years. And you have just seen, obviously, the financial statements that result from that and the opinion that results from that from Numeris. And so we're seeking to do that again rather than the more costly full audit. So are there any questions or concerns in that regard? Seeing none, I'm going to move that motion and seek a seconder. I see Harry Fisher raising a hand, so Harry is our seconder. A moment for any objections. Seeing none, that motion is also passed. Thank you all. And thank you very much, Guy. I'd like to take just a moment to thank Guy for a year where we really solidified our financial systems. We brought bookkeeping in-house. We're utilizing a payroll service. We've formalized our employment policies. Our cash flow projections are robust. They're conservative. As Guy said, we've taken a lot of steps to project forward to give our staff security. And Guy has done a lot of background work that people don't see in making sure that we can do that. So big thank you to Guy.
You're very welcome, James.
Just if I may make a comment from the point of view of the timekeeper, I'm sorry, but we are running close to 10 minutes late, 8 to 10 minutes late. And so maybe we could just sort of take that into account in our proceedings going forward. That's all.
Thank you, Magdalene. All right, so I'll go swiftly on to our next motion. It's my pleasure to bring to membership a proposed name change. It's an operating name change. It doesn't require any legal change of name. You can see the link, and I think Sarah Bell is also going to share that with you. I won't bother reading that to you as we are pressed for time, but effectively the logic is that while CAFES began as a majority community association organization, we're now much more diverse than that. You can see the percentages listed. 48% are organizational membership or community associations. The remaining organizational members represent other groups. And we also have a lot of individual members now. And so the proposed operating name change would not impact our federally incorporated name. We're registered as CAFES, but it's proposed that we change the name from Community Associations for Environmental Sustainability to Community Action for Environmental Sustainability. It was also the view of the board in presenting this that it better represents, quite frankly, what our goals are, and basically better represents who we now are. Are there any questions or concerns from the membership with respect to this proposed change of name? Any comments anyone wants to make in this respect? All right, seeing none, and given the time concerns, I'm going to move, be it resolved that the operating name of the organization be changed from Community Associations for Environmental Sustainability, CAFES, to Community Action for Environmental Sustainability, also CAFES. Can I get a seconder? I see Brian Tansey with a very quick hand. All right. Do we have any objections? Great. Seeing none, the motion is passed. Thank you all. All right. So we will be posting in the chat now an online survey of attendees. We really want to get your feedback. We want to use this opportunity where we've got a lot of engaged people out to get your feedback to help us move forward in the year to come. We want to hear from you, as many as possible. I would encourage you to complete the survey. It includes several open fields to provide feedback. It includes sections where you can provide advice for how we can best move forward. We now also have some brief time for member discussion. So I do want to open the floor for questions and comments from the floor. And we have anticipated, we've built into the schedule about 20 minutes for that purpose. And that remains true in spite of our delays because we didn't anticipate blasting through some of the motions quite as quickly. So, questions, comments, concerns, things people want to say about the year to come. Harry Fisher, I see a hand raised. Go ahead, Harry.
Yes, as a member of CAFES, earlier this year, I had posted up on the Green Space Caucus a little piece about I was looking for information from the community associations that are part of CAFES membership, information on their gardening, greening, and environmental practices. Okay, I had extremely limited response. Okay, and as part of being engaged with POP and the greening initiatives and strategy that we're trying to drive, I'm really trying to reach out to all the different CAs in the city to say, what are you doing? Okay, and so we can build a much more holistic view of what is going on in the city. Okay, you know, I'm pretty clued in on my area, Bel Air, out by Algonquin College, but what's happening in Canada, Orleans, I don't have that full picture. And I think I have one of the best pictures in the city. Okay. But I know I've got gaps, so I'm going to ask that everybody here at the meeting, if you go back to your CAs or your groups, and if you have anything that you can share with us, please do so. I'll put an email link in the chat that you can contact me at. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry. Great opportunity to reach out for some connections. And William, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, thanks, James. I don't want to be completely out of order here. There was a lot of nice things said about the great work that CAFES is doing, and particularly what Angela is doing. Two things I wanted to mention just to add to that. One is just from the perspective of now a partner organization, also a member of CAFES, but you know, a little bit from the outside as opposed to the kind of internal perspective. It's great to see that from the inside, it's as much a pleasure and as impressive to work with Angela as it is from the outside. Angela and I work pretty closely. Huge privilege for me and huge inspiration. So I just wanted to add that to the mix. But then I thought along similar lines, it would be worth mentioning. I don't think this came up in any case so far. Angela was a recipient of a award not too long ago. I believe Charles III Coronation Medal, something along those lines. And it seems not irrelevant to mention that. So I just salute all the work that CAFES is doing, and particularly Angela at the helm.
Thank you,
Hey,
William.
thanks
With
for
Angela.
your comment, William. I would like to point out that William is the Executive Director of Ecology Ottawa. So the fact that the two of us are rather chummy, and we're comparing notes and lobbying together, I think really, really strengthens what we can do in town. So thank you, William, for all of your most excellent collaboration.
And I would say thank you, William, for subtly pointing out that Angela is always too modest to herself tout these sorts of awards. So it's nice to have friends to do it for her. I see also Paul Beckwith has a raised hand. Paul.
Yeah, hi, friend of Angela's. I'm not a member. I want to bring up a couple points I haven't heard mentioned. The first point is with the presentations, they were great, but it seems like incinerator companies are lying through their teeth on their capabilities. And people might want to think of a way to combat this. I mean, they're lies, basically. They're lying. I mean, we should come right out and say they're lying and say why. And, we need a better way to deal with lies and misinformation, is the first point. And the second point related is if you're not using AI, I think you need to start using AI and figure out how it can help the advocacy, getting wider dissemination of things. So just as if you're not using it, Google perplexity.ai, it's free. Type in what does CAFES do, or who is CAFES? Okay, that's a good start. And then go to another free AI, DeepSeek, which is a Chinese one, and you can go to about half a dozen or 10 or so, and compare what they're saying, and then try the same searches and things, say in a couple weeks, and you'll see some variation in what they say, and figure out how to leverage AI to get the message out. And AI can be a very important component of fighting misinformation. Like the large digital companies are all US companies, right? And there's huge misinformation on Facebook and Twitter and all of these other platforms, which are going to probably influence our elections and elections anywhere else in the world. So does Canada need our own social media networks developed? Can our government take a position on using AI to fight information? So these are very important things for democracy, but also for getting reality and truth about climate change and any other issue out there. So anyways, great meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. All right, the floor remains open to anyone else who wishes to comment, wishes to ask a question. All right, Sarah Washburn.
Hey, I'm the chair of the fundraising committee, and I would encourage anyone who's not a member to please become a member.
Thank you, Sarah. I think the other thing that, Sarah has cued me to do is to remind everyone that our wonderful staff and our wonderful executive director can't eat air. We have to pay them. All of these things require money. And even quite frankly, as Angela alluded to, getting speakers, putting together presentations, reaching out to the community, all of those things which allow us to have the impact that we do can, require resources. And so I encourage all of you who have the means to make a donation to CAFES because I think you can all see that it does have an impact, but we can't do the work without your support.
If I might chirp in, One-time donations are great, but monthly donations is also something to be considered, and there is that option when you go to the website under donate, which helps
Thank you,
with
Magdalene.
consistency.
All right. Any other comments, concerns, questions from the membership? All right. Seeing no further raised hands, we'll move on to our next item of official business, the election of the 2025 Board of Directors. As an outgoing director of CAFES, I will lead us through the election process for the new board. The requests for nominations and self-nomination were made repeatedly starting in December of 2024 through the CAFES bulletin, distributed to all members and people on the CAFES mailing list. And in addition, as mentioned before, we have an active board renewal committee chaired by Magdalene Carson. The other members of that committee are Akil Mesawala, Sarah Washburn, as well as Angela Keller-Herzog herself. And so they have a structured process by which they reached out to and interviewed candidates. And so I'm very proud to present the slate of candidates which they have produced through that process. I'm going to invite each of our new board members, and you'll see actually that's just been posted in the chat, short bios for each of the members of that board endorsed slate. But while we are giving you guys an opportunity to click on that and read those, I'm also going to invite each of the new board members, those who've not previously been on the board, to provide just a sort of a 1-minute introduction to themselves, their name, their neighborhood, why they're standing for the CAFES board. And we're going to start with Nasrat Mateen.
Hello, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be in this meeting, and I'm very happy to be joining CAFES. So my name is Nasrat. I'm in College Ward in Nepean, and my educational background is in environmental science and international development, and I have been involved with international organizations in Afghanistan and Europe. And also here in Ottawa in particular, I would like to take time to express my gratitude for William. It's through William I got connected with Fridays for Future Ottawa and CAFES, and now here I am. I end up being more connected and contributing. So thank you so much. And it's a pleasure to meet everyone and be able to contribute.
That's excellent. Thank you, Nasrat. Our next potential future member of the board is Pamela Jordan. Pamela, are you there to provide a 1-minute intro, your name, your neighborhood, and why you're standing for the board?
There,
You're
I'm
just-
unmuted.
There we are.
Sorry. There I go. So I'm a political scientist who taught at the University of Saskatchewan and then more recently at Southern New Hampshire University. And my environmental research focused on the Canadian-US binational stewardship of the Great Lakes and the Gulf of Maine in terms of joint climate action. I'm especially concerned about social and intergenerational equity. And last year, I very fortunately repatriated to Canada from the US. And my family and I now live close to the Greenbelt in the neighborhood of Beaverbrook in Canada. So as a volunteer with the Canada Beaverbrook Community Association, I've started to help them with their environmental sustainability goals in our area, including efforts to grow our tree canopy. And Harry, I'll ask the KBCA president about community gardens in Canada, so I will email you. I'm very inspired by CAFE's mission of advocating for environmental sustainability and promoting climate action and leadership in Ottawa's neighborhoods. I attended the gathering back in November about hope in action, and I was greatly inspired by that. So if confirmed as a new board member, I hope to engage with other members across Ottawa on climate action and advocacy issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pamela. I'd now like to invite Gautam Shah to provide his brief introduction.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you all. As you know, my name is Gautam Shah, and it's hard to pronounce, but you'll get used to it. And I live in Cumberland with my wife. And I have been an IT telecom executive for the last 35 years almost. I lost the count. However, in my professional life, I have been building like products, but always had a passion for having a circular economy policy always involved in whatever I do. And I walk the walk, I talk the talk. So one of the things that my wife and I, we build the like city's first net positive home that we still live in. And since then, I have been trying to use my activism skills to work with the city to make sure that we can have a better sustainable future for all our residents. And this is where like I came in contact with CAFES, and I saw like what they have been doing, and I got involved. And definitely I'm looking forward to contributing in this new role more to the cause of CAFES, and hopefully making our city a more sustainable and a place where we can call a better home for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Gautam. And last but not least, I want to invite Harry Fisher to provide some comments.
Hello, my name's Harry Fisher, and I want to work with CAFES to make our home, our city, a landmark center of biodiversity and environmental greenness. Okay, I'm passionate in trying to get all the local groups to have a common vocal group, or voice, I should say, so we can go to City Hall and say, this is what we need, okay, and make changes. I'm involved with organizations like the Maitland Area Pollinator Group, Federation of Citizens Association, the FCA, Horizon Ottawa, and now I want to get involved with CAFES. Okay, I'm hoping that we'll have some superb action this year. Okay, that's the new word. Okay, from Angela, and along with some passion and energy, I'm going to bring a strong background in data analysis and project management to whatever I do, preferably with trees and green space. And my 10-year mission is to convert all the turf grass in the city to flower beds of one type or another. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Harry. All right. You would have seen in the bios one additional new member, Noor Kadri, who unfortunately does not appear to be present on the call at the moment. I'm sorry that we didn't get to hear from Noor, but I hope everyone will take the moment to read the impressive bios of all of our candidates, including Noor Kadri. So, with everyone having spoken, I'm going to ask Sarah to share screen on the motion to elect the new board of directors and to share that in the chat.
Just one moment, sorry.
Bear with us, everyone. We're just working on, there we are, the screen sharing, so that everyone can see what the slate is, what the motion is, and also what the term structure is for everyone. So we have some returning members of the board with 1 year remaining, others being elected to the first year of their 2-year term. This helps us to have continuity. And I see we have a comment from Magdalene Carson.
And one thing we've always strived for is to have a representation from suburban area, rural area, and urban area. And it looks like this year we hit a jackpot because we have representatives from Orleans in the east, Canada in the west, and Nepean in the south. We have 3 rural members and 3 urban members. So we have a very good representation right across the city.
Indeed. As Angela alluded to, and as I think most of us know, Ottawa is a geographically enormous city with a wide range of different parts with different concerns, and that is indeed something we've always strived to cover as part of our board membership, is to get all kinds of different perspectives of different folks from different places. So I have to thank the Board Renewal Committee for their excellent work. And in doing so, I want to ask the membership to put forward to the membership, I'm going to move, be it resolved that this slate and term structure of directors is approved by the membership as the Board of Directors of CAFES, and that the slate of directors hereby elected shall determine amongst themselves within the next 14 days the holders of the following offices: chair, vice chair, treasurer, and secretary. And I suppose I'm getting ahead of myself. Before I formally move that, are there any questions, concerns, or comments that people want to make? As always, please make use of the raise hand function so that we can hear you. Seeing no questions, comments, or concerns, I move back to my motion. And can I get a seconder? I see a raised hand from Cecile Wilson. Thank you for seconding, Cecile. All right. Any objections to the passage of this motion? All right. Seeing none, the slate is elected. Excellent. Congratulations, new members of the board. Congratulations, old members of the board. I think, as I've said before, I think our board renewal committee has outdone themselves, and I think that CAFES is on an excellent track forward. All right. And that takes us to the end of our business for the evening. I'm just going to keep it very brief in terms of closing comments. I don't need to tell you all that these are challenging times in many respects, certainly including addressing climate and environmental issues, as those tend to get swamped in the conversation and the public consciousness. But I think that it's during exactly those sorts of times that we need community most. We need people like Angela, we need organizations like CAFES to rely on, to inspire us, and to help us to take real and effective action. I thank you all for being here tonight, for taking that step to be part of this community. Our members make CAFES what it is, and I invite you as our members to go out into the world knowing that you can indeed make a difference, and that CAFES is here to help you do so. So thank you all for your time here tonight. And that it concludes our official business.
With 10 minutes, 15 minutes to spare. So I'm sorry if I was pushy at one point.
That's all right, Magdalene. You were doing your job.
Bravo.
Yeah.
That was great.
Jennifer.
So now we can actually have
just-
a conversation.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you to the outgoing members of the board as well we thank you for your service in the past year, and of course we'll miss you all. And we welcome the new members, but we're sad to see our friends go as well.
But that doesn't mean they can't participate and volunteer for lots of things. So hopefully
Absolutely.
we'll see them soon.
That's a good point.
For sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
You know how to reach me.
So I'd like to add to what Jennifer said, James. It's been a real pleasure working with you. You're both easygoing and kind of buttoned up when need comes. And that combination is hard to find and is like pretty cool to have in a little NGO. So thank you. I think the other outgoing members are Ariella and Emma Bider, who wasn't able to be here tonight because she's traveling. And then Guy Dubuc hasn't quite said goodbye yet. He will stay an officer of the corporation, but we are going to work on the treasurer handover in the coming year. So thank you.
Friends and colleagues. Mary. You'll need to unmute Mary. You remain muted.
There. Hi, everyone. I just want to reinforce what you said, James. We're in really turmoil times. I think sometimes we feel a little defeated looking after the environment and dealing with the climate crisis with everything else going on. And I really want to thank CAFES for the friendship and the support from each other. And I think we're going to need a lot of that in the coming years. So I applaud you on the caucus meetings, the special issue meetings, and working together, because we could all hit a tipping point of not being able to cope with all the big stuff going on. But I really believe the action is at the community local level right now. So I'm really looking forward to working with you this year.
Thank you, Mary.
One thing, sorry.
Go ahead, Magdalene. I think we're in the informal portion now.
Yeah, I think one of the things I mean, it has been a really rocky, anxious, like every day it's a new shocker. Like, I think at least I never really expected to see the developments that are happening in the world. And so one thing that I've noticed is that with CAFES, we stick to climate. In any of the meetings we have, like, it would be so easy because everybody's talking about all these other things that we know, that we hear about every single day. But CAFES sticks to climate because, I mean, you know, if there's no livable planet, we don't even have the privilege of acting out all these other dramas. So really, if there's no planet, nothing else makes a difference. So I think it's so important for us to really enforce that in our actions in our lives when there's so much distraction and there's so much that wants to shut us down, like Greenpeace being fined $66 million for their actions in Dakota. I don't remember if it was north or south. That is a pretty scary thing. If trying to shut us down. So anyway, I just applaud CAFES for always sticking to this agenda and not being distracted.
So I see Harry wants to talk, but I just want to make the point in connection with what Magdalene is saying. It's really important to say hello to people, to greet them, to connect with them. If you're in an activity, like, connect with people. Like, I do this dance group. I'm not really good at dance, but we're all dancing and we're going to clubs and we're dancing and we're connecting. And I mean, it's the environment is really important, but we're all connected. So building those connections, not just with nature, with other people, and that way we stay strong, we stay together.
I agree. I think the point to me was back in the fall. That's when I met Angela and Erica at a CAFES community engagement bit with Carleton University. And as a result of that, I took that connection that I built with Angela. I proposed holding a summit in the city for all the gardening groups, which we did in February. And I started off the 1st of January by sitting at my desk here and saying, you know what, I got to take positive action today. So I sent out invites for the Fletcher Garden Pollinator Appreciation Day event, which will be held in June. I sent those out on the 1st of January saying, this is my action today. Tomorrow, I'll do something different, something again. So every day, trying to push that agenda, that process, one more step, bring in one more person into the fold. And today was a great example when, all the residents of the city, or not all of them, but a good chunk represented by like CAFES, myself and whatnot, we all showed up at, City Hall virtually to say, hey, you know what? We want permission to grow food in our right of way. And you know what? Committee heard, they realized how many people are behind us, and they went, yeah, we accept it. And so, that was a win for us. Next week, it'll be something different. And, that's what we got to do. So I really look forward to working with everybody, and I'm going to call it a night. So have a nice day.
Thank you, Harry. I think likewise, it's my time to sign off, and thank you all for your time, your company, your inspiration. And I'm going to try and take that feeling off to my family now. Thank you all.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.